2 weeks ago I was in Wales, and Chester is obviously not too far from Wales, and in Chester you have the Moto Morini distributor for the UK and Ireland. So it would have been rude of me not to call in on my friend Ben Wylie and take out another set of wheels.
It's another one of those special days. Dry roads, beautiful bike, and, well, within reason, as much time as I want with it. First things first, I am sure you want to hear what it sounds like, so let's give you that. I think that may well become my new intro.
So when I say I'm taking this gingerly, I do mean it. New bike, yet to be broken in, and although the roads aren't in bad condition, I'm not 100% trusting of them. So what was it now, like 6 months ago I took out the Casaro ZZ and pretty much fell in love with the engine. In case you're unfamiliar, this is practically the same engine. It is the same engine, it's just slightly differently tweaked. Not worlds apart, but where that one makes around 140 brake horsepower, this makes about 110. A decent amount of engine braking, the sort of character you'd expect from a V-twin. I mean, it corners beautifully. Stable as you like. On scrubbed in tyres on a warm day, I would trust this thing down to the pegs in an instant. As with most bikes, when you start riding it quickly, because you're shifting around a little bit more, it becomes a little bit more comfortable. Same is true of this one. It's not an uncomfortable place to sit. I don't feel strained at all. I'm not gritting my teeth and ragging the thing. Because I'm quite relaxed in my riding position, my riding can therefore be a little bit more relaxed. The tank is nice and wide, which means I'm constantly in contact with my knees, and it means that my arms, again, have a load taken off. Which is great. So as far as braking goes, you've got Brembos front and back, top spec basically. You've also got a Brembo master cylinder up here, and you've got a Brembo cylinder for the hydraulic clutch. You've got Mupo suspension, you've got a beautiful 1200 engine underneath you, and you have a fantastic riding experience. And now I'm going to have a coffee.
Very nice too. I parked it over here so I don't get mobbed by people. Any minute now, you just watch. You just watch. Oh, what's that? Oh, is it a 3.5? No. No, it is not.
Full warning, I will be trying to pronounce some Italian words. I'm going to lean into it, I'm going to commit. You'll probably have heard that this is based on one of their older bikes, their classic lines. The Moto Morini 3.5. Pretty bike, classic bike, good reputation. The nice little added touch as well is that the person who designed the 3.5, Franco Lambertini, nailed it. Also designed the engine in the current Moto Morini line, the bialbero Corsa Corta 1200. Bialbero Corsa Corta. It just sounds horrible. It sounds like I'm saying wheelbarrow. Bialbero. Now all of that's lovely, it's nice to have a bit of heritage, a bit of a story to a bike, but it all counts for nothing if the machine itself isn't actually good. Luckily, I can say that that is not the case with the Milano, and it's not just a case of style over function. As previously mentioned, it shares a fair amount of DNA with the Casaros, not just the engine, certain other things have transferred as well. That's basically my way of saying that if you haven't seen my review of the Casaro, you know, maybe check it out. I'll make it easy for you. There's a button somewhere. Click on it and watch that, and then obviously remember to come back here and watch this. It's also a way of explaining that I'm going to be comparing a little bit between the two of them.
So the Casaro ZZ was one of my favourite days to date. It's a lovely bike. As far as the way they've changed the engine, as I say, you've lost 1 or 2 horsepower, but it feels maybe a little bit smoother. less on a knife edge, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more civilized. Not that that bike is too raucous by any means, but you do find yourself wanting to push your limits on it. And this one, maybe you want to go a little bit slower, because arguably speaking it is the prettier of the two, and ideally you want to go slow enough for people to actually see you on it. That's the idea.
So I normally start with the engine anyway, but it seems particularly poignant to do that on the Milano or any of the Moto Morini range, because it really is the jewel in their crown. They've tweaked the engine in the Milano so that it gives actually slightly less horsepower, but peak is found further down the rev range, to the tune of about 500 revs. So it now makes peak at 8,000, and I should say that peak is 114 horsepower claimed from Moto Morini, although I'm led to believe from Ben that they actually underestimate how much their bikes can perform. So you won't feel shortchanged when I tell you that it makes probably around 120, 125 brake horsepower. Slightly less torque as well, but the torque is actually found higher up. 79 foot-pounds at 7,000 revs. The summary would therefore be that the engine is a little bit more mellow than you would find in the Casaro. It is also ever so slightly heavier than the Casaro. It's 200 kilograms. Suspension is also fairly similar. You've got I think the exact same suspension on the front. It's again Italian made, Mupo. It's fully adjustable, and on the rear I believe it's fully adjustable. Definitely is for preload and for rebound.
I mean, braking obviously is brilliant. All I have to say to you is the word Brembo and you'll understand. 4-piston, radial mounted, monoblock, 320mm disc, 220 on the rear, 2-piston caliper. Standard, it is the best of the best. Mupo race suspension, fully adjustable. Minor concessions from me. I don't like where the brake lever is located. I don't like the position. It's a little far to extend. You have to practically wrap your foot round the peg to actually engage the rear brake. That can be a little bit disconcerting. Gear switch indicator is slow to react, but generally works as long as you're in the gear for a little while. Yeah, all good. Everything's high quality. I would say the only thing you're missing really are rider modes. It has ABS, it has traction control, but you don't have rider modes.
Same for digital as well. You've got the AIM TFT screen with switchable themes. It works okay. I would just say that again, the gear switch indicator doesn't really work, or at least not quickly enough. My advice generally would be to ignore that it has one. The proportions have been relaxed as well. So we've got 25 degrees of rake on the front. We have 108mm of trail. Seat height of 820mm as opposed to the 860 found on the Casaro. So it's more comfortable actually when you're trying to flat foot or maneuver when you're going at low speeds. Wheelbase is also longer to the tune of about 40mm. It's 1,490. I think you could probably make an assumption just based off looking at the two bikes side by side as to what you're going to expect from either one. That is to say that the Milano is more relaxed, easy to get on with, less goading in its style and its riding response, but still precision made and performance oriented. It's actually probably quite a nice thing not to have to make it sing at its higher register and to find your power slightly lower down in the rev range. At the end of the day, it's still a massive thumping V-twin and it's still got plenty of power to drive you forward.
Yep, I made a decision. I'm not giving it back, it's mine. This is now my bike.
Now they also do a limited edition, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I was not expecting to be sat on the limited edition when I went up there. I don't want a number plaque on there, because I don't want to ding or scrape number 7 of 30.
This is the limited edition. This is the one they're actually only making 30 of. So, ride very sensibly is the theme for today. Not least because this only has about 70 miles on it, and the engine still needs to break in.
But there we go. It was nice to see what the extra money gets you. It comes with a plate on the bars, an alley strip on the fuel tank, a custom seat, 2-colour paintwork, Rizoma extras, so the mirrors and the lights. You also get, I believe they call it DLC coating for the forks. Helps it slide a little bit smoother. White wheels, a special Moto Morini cover, a special Moto Morini jacket, and a special Moto Morini helmet. Although I do hope they're not in the exact same colour as the bike, because couples shouldn't dress alike.
Now when I took out the Casaro ZZ, yeah, I was impressed with it. I fell in love with that bike. I genuinely did. I'm not just saying that because I like Ben. I did like the bike. But obviously the comments popped up. It's an expensive machine. Does it justify the extra expense? Yeah, it does. It's subjective. It's worth what you're willing to pay for it. But I have to say, hand on heart, I am one of those that probably wouldn't end up spending the extra cash to get that bike, because it certainly doesn't outperform any of its competition. It's just that it is unique. But to my surprise, this one comes in around the same sort of cost as a Speed Triple or a Ducati Monster. So if the question was, would I spend the same money as one of those bikes to get this one? You're damn right I would. And now that I've dialed in, oh, it's comfortable. Oh, I'm happy leaning it over.
And then the make or break moment for most of you, I'm sure, is that the price is roughly £13,700 in the UK. So it's probably worth saying at this stage that I don't work for Moto Morini and I'm not trying to sell you this bike, but it's worth having some kind of context as to where this money goes or what the price is similar to. So obviously it's fairly close to the same sort of price as the Speed Triple RS. Okay, that has a lot more technological toys, that has the rider modes, and they do work really well on that bike. I'm not sure if I'd miss them all that much, to be perfectly honest with you, and I think the performance you get out of this bike is similar to a lot of its competition. The big seller is whether or not the character is something that you dial into. The kicker for a lot of you, I'm sure, will be whether or not you can get this thing serviced, whether you've got a mechanic that you would trust, whether or not you can even find it in the first place, if you can find a dealership that actually sell it, or if you have to go slightly out of your way to pick one up. But for a bike that now fits close to the rest of its market and its competition, if not the same price effectively, but is absolutely more of a talking point and performs fantastically, I think it's worth it. And in all honesty, if I had that money and I was looking at this class of bike and this sort of cost, I think I would seriously consider it, because it's nice having something just ever so slightly different from the rest of your friends.
All things considered, you've got to say that was a pretty decent day. Thank you, Moto Morini Milano, thank you, Ben Wylie, and thank you for watching. Laters.